On sabbatical away from Toastmasters, he had a baby. Well, he didn't have a baby. His wife had a baby. Okay, that was his sabbatical. From Toastmasters, he went through some pretty major life changes. In a way, to be more flexible with his time, he decided to do something that many Americans have decided to do over the past few years: build a home gym. Today, Tom would like to tell the story of this process and the decisions he made when deciding how to organize this gym, equipment to buy, and takeaways for his future home gym aspirations. Please help me welcome Tom with his speech entitled Building a Home Gym. Come on, Tom. And why don't you tell us first about maybe one of your favorite towels that you have?
Oh, don't worry, that's already in the speech.
That's in the speech? Oh, awesome. Great.
As a young boy, as many of you have from your youth, I have some phenomenal memories with my parents. Among these memories is having ice cream for breakfast on Saturday mornings while watching cartoons. Also, we would gather around the TV almost every weekend during football season, and then in the summer when we started to become interested in baseball, to watch our favorite sports teams. Throughout my life growing up, I remember having great adventures with my parents. We would go on awesome vacations. We'd do amazing things on the weekends and weekdays. But one thing I didn't quite recall was independent exercise. That's the fancy word for working out, for the sake of working out, and for the sake of exercising. As someone who took that up in high school and then in college and got really into it too, I saw the benefits it could give oneself, both mentally and physically, especially combined with a good diet. Seeing as I didn't get this as a child, and I was expecting one on the way, I really wanted to build my own gym and help develop that habit in my own family. Now, I had a problem. I didn't have the space nor the money to do this. Well, a year ago, as I was working through this problem, I was approached by Zillow, as Scott may be aware. Zillow was buying up homes all across the country using a massive Silicon Valley AI calculation to value homes. Well, a massive error almost resulted in their bankruptcy, and they ended up buying homes from thousands of Americans for way more than they were worth and only charging 1% transaction fee on the homes. Now, I ended up with way more money than I knew what to do with, most of which went to purchasing another home for myself. But I did save a portion to build a home gym. And not only that, I picked a home that had a 2-car garage that was attached. So I could park a car in there, the other half of the garage would be a gym. I had the space I needed. Now I just had to make the decisions on how to build the home gym. I have many friends who have done this as well. In fact, I got close with one of my buddies who's now in the Marines. And he built the home gym long ago, and working out has always been a big thing for him. So I took a lot of advice and cues from him. The first thing to building a good home gym is you have to develop the flooring. It is not really good to choose the flooring that came with the house, whether it be a garage or carpet or hardwood floor. You want to have something else to protect the flooring. At the Tractor Supply Company, they sell stall mats, which are for horses, but they work very well for home gyms. And I bought about half-inch thick rubber stall mats to place over the concrete in my garage. In addition to that, I also found probably the keys to a home gym, which is a power rack, very similar to a squat rack, except the power rack has a pull-up bar on top of the squat rack, or yes, on the squat rack, so it's like on top of the squat rack. And you can do all the other major lifts, the basic lifts, compound lifts is what I call them: bench, squat, deadlift, rows, overhead press, all the major lifts you need to do. And part of me is I'm a very simple person when it comes to working out. I like to go really hard, but I like to choose a few things that are key and fundamental to the way you're working out. So I usually pick like 5 or 6 exercises that I do on a weekly basis, and then do some running on the side as well, or some other cardio exercises that isn't too complicated. There's like 40 minutes straight of running, or like intervals and running. I don't like to get too complicated with my workouts. So knowing this, it was really easy for me to find a squat rack or a power rack for pretty cheap on Basic Marketplace. After I bought that power rack and moved into my house, I made an order through Row Fitness to buy a bunch of weights. Now, this was expensive. That's why I mentioned earlier that I had the money to do it by essentially stealing from Zillow. And almost within 5 days moving into my house, Row comes in with a shipment of everything that I need. They gave me a bar, like a little power bar, I suppose, to put your weights on. I think about 600 pounds worth of the plates, and I bought bumper plates from Rogue. In addition to that, we also got a rower, one of those Concept 2 rowers. I don't know if any of you are into CrossFit, but the rower, Concept 2 rower, is supposed to simulate a rowing motion. And using all of these, I was able to perfect my home gym, place the stall mats down, and my dad and I actually built the power rack together. We placed it in a certain spot in my gym. We organized it, made sure it looks good, and made sure that everything was ready to go for a nice and solid workout. And voila, I was ready to go. A few months later, my wife had her baby. And while I have some fitness journeys to go, and she's also, she's 8 months now. She's not going to touch a power bar anytime soon. I think it's important to see my family, or it's important for my family to see balance in the life of their father and husband, to make sure that they can have a good example to follow by for appropriate health, both mentally and physically. In the future, I'd love to add a few items to my home gym. I've always liked the stair climbers that are at your typical gyms. I don't have enough space for that now, but maybe one day when I move into a bigger house, I can take up 2 spaces in the garage and have a better space to do that in, and buy more equipment that I wouldn't use. I'm generally not a big equipment guy, but I buy a few pieces of equipment that I use a ton, and that's how I like things. But more space would be nice. I like to put up a few mirrors. Mirrors tend to make the home gym look much bigger. But at the end of the day, what I have now works amazing for me, and I'm really glad that this decision I made. Now it's time for you all to build your own home gym once Zillow starts giving free money away. Oh, I didn't talk about the towel. Well, that's the end of my speech, but I do also need a towel in my home gym. I think that's going to become my favorite towel to wipe me off when I'm sweating. See, unlike Craig, I do sweat when I work out.
Yeah.
And I think a towel would be helpful to not only wipe me off, but also wipe the equipment off to make sure it stays sanitary.
Yeah.